All right, welcome back, everybody, to another Mindset Rebuild Deep Dive. I'm Alan, and with me, as always, is Rebecca.
Hey, everyone.
We're still focused, as always, on you guys, the creators and entrepreneurs out there who really want to kind of get to the core of rewiring your mindset to help you step more confidently into that role of a calm, visionary CEO, and not just in your business, but like in every aspect of your life, right? And today, we're going to dive into something that I think touches all of us, no matter where we're at, and that is how to navigate those uncertain moments that life just seems to throw at us, and how we can actually find the strengths, not just to weather those moments, but maybe even to grow from them, you know?
Yeah.
And this whole conversation is sparked by some really, really insightful writing from Intrinsic Coach Warren.
This is such a great topic. And, I've been reflecting on what Coach Warren wrote, and it's so crucial, especially for those of us who are out there building something new or navigating the pretty unpredictable entrepreneurial journey. And his recent writings, I think, offer a really, really grounded perspective on how we can all start to relate to uncertainty, not as like this threat, but maybe, as something that could help us grow, like a catalyst.
Absolutely. And what makes Warren's perspective so compelling, I think, is the context.
Mm-hmm.
He recently went through a really difficult experience, the sudden loss of his mother. And it's just a huge reminder of how quickly life can change, right?
Yeah.
And it's clear from his writing that this deeply personal experience have really led him to examine how we all, as humans, how we grapple with the unexpected shifts and the turns and the changes that just kind of define our lives.
It is one of the most, significant uncertainties that we face, right? Like
Yeah.
when we lose someone that we love, and it really drives home this reality that, all of our plans and expectations can be completely upended in an instant. And I think you're right. I think his willingness to even share his thoughts in such a time really speaks to the power of, just reflecting on these shared human experiences that we all go through.
Yeah. So let's get into it. The first area that Warren kind of explores is what he calls the jarring reality of change. And he talks about how sudden, unexpected events, like the loss that he experienced, and he also happened to be going through a job transition at the same time. Wow. So you can imagine just how much that would, take the wind out of your sails. Like everything that you thought was solid is just suddenly shifting beneath you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so interesting about those moments, right? Like when that happens, it's not just the new challenge itself, it's how it interacts with what's going on inside of us. It's like
Right, yeah.
it can really amplify any anxieties or doubts that we might have already been
Yeah.
carrying. And so, when multiple significant changes happen so close together, that feeling of just being off kilter can be really overwhelming. But I do think, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think that sometimes when we're knocked off our usual path, it can actually reveal a new direction for us, a direction that maybe we wouldn't have even considered before, and one that might be even more fulfilling, Have you ever felt that? Like you've had an experience where, you felt completely thrown off and then it led to something positive, something you didn't expect.
It's really a powerful way to reframe things. It's not about minimizing, the impact of those jarring moments, but it's about seeing the potential that they hold, right?
That they could be pivotal rather than purely negative. Warren also talks about how going through adversity like this can actually cultivate a deeper sense of compassion in us.
I love that.
Like, once you've navigated your own difficult terrain,
Yeah.
you kind of develop a greater understanding for the struggles that other people are facing.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Discomfort, a lot of times discomfort forces us to step outside of our immediate concerns and really consider a much broader perspective. And when things are going really well, it's easy to just stay focused on our own little goals, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when we encounter hardship, it really can open our hearts to the human condition, to that shared human experience. Have you ever found yourself kind of reevaluating what truly matters to you when you're going through something really difficult, like a tough time? Coach Warren, he reflects on how losing his mom has really made him take a closer look at how he invests his time and his energy, and it's caused him to actually prioritize deeper connections with his loved ones and make sure that he's taking care of himself. It's so important.
It's almost like those challenging times, they act as a filter. They strip away the superficial and really highlight what truly sustains us.
Yeah.
Right. And this is something I've been thinking about a lot, is that when uncertainty is kind of looming large over us, it can be so paralyzing. It's like we're stuck, we can't move forward. And Warren, he addresses this by talking about the power of small steps. And he suggests that, when you're facing something that feels really destabilizing, The key is to simply begin, to just start,
Right.
and to start in a very manageable way.
I think that's such practical and often overlooked advice. When we're faced with a really uncertain future, just the sheer scale of it can feel so overwhelming. But but if we break it down into these really small, achievable actions,
Yeah.
like I think that's where we can start to build momentum and regain some of that agency. And he gives some really concrete examples too, like creating simple new routines, right? Like, maybe taking a short walk to clear your head or just spending a few minutes journaling to really process your thoughts and your emotions. And he also talks about the importance of reaching out to people.
Mhm.
Like even just sending a quick text to a friend that can be such a powerful reminder that you're not alone. And his point about being flexible with our goals, that's huge. Especially, I think about this a lot with entrepreneurs. Like when you're going through significant stress or grief, those original ambitions that you had might, need to be adjusted a bit, to
Yeah.
prioritize your well-being, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's about giving yourself permission, right?
Hmm.
To adapt, to
Right.
prioritize your own self-care during those difficult times, rather than, just rigidly sticking to a plan that might not be serving you anymore, even amid, the genuine pain and sorrow that accompany challenging times like these. And Warren is very honest about the grief that he's going through. He also speaks to this idea of finding light in the midst of darkness.
Mm.
And he mentions, receiving these heartfelt messages and hearing stories about the positive impact that his mother had on other people, sometimes, from unexpected sources.
And I think what's really significant about those moments is, how these small acts of kindness and connection, they really serve as these anchors for us,
Yeah.
during times of darkness. And these, what he describes as these slivers of light, they really remind us of the enduring strength of human connection and the lasting impact that we all have on each other's lives. And, shared memories, even within the context of grief, can be such a powerful source of comfort and resilience.
Have you ever had one of those moments where, you received unexpected support that made a real difference for you during a really hard time? Oh yeah, absolutely. It's often, like you said, those seemingly small gestures that actually carry the most meaning. Warren then kind of broadens the perspective by looking at learning from real-world examples of finding strength in uncertainty. And he highlights how communities will often come together and actually deepen their bonds after, natural disasters or other hardships that they face collectively.
And I think, when we look at that bigger picture, like those instances of community resilience, it really underscores how fundamentally as humans we need connection and support.
Yeah.
And especially when we're in a crisis. And it's like, when our established structures are disrupted, people naturally turn towards each other. And, those shared experiences can really forge these incredibly strong and lasting bonds. Think about, communities that you've seen, who've come together after going through something really difficult. Like, what are the elements that stand out to you in those situations? He also gives the example of career pivots and how a lot of really successful businesses have actually emerged during, economic downturns or other personal crises. And a lot of times they're driven by, just pure necessity.
It's like constraints can actually fuel innovation and force us to think in totally new ways, right?
Yeah.
When the paths that we're used to, they're blocked, then we're kind of forced to find other ways to move forward.
Yeah, necessity can spark ingenuity. And when our traditional, ways to success are just not available, we have to tap into these kind of, hidden reserves of creativity and resourcefulness that maybe we didn't even know we had. Can you think of a time in your life where you had to deal with limitations or challenges that actually sparked your creativity or even led to unexpected opportunities? And, Warren, he goes on to really dive into what opportunity means in these contexts. And it's not always about, external achievements or gains.
Mhm.
It's often something much deeper.
Yeah, he emphasizes that opportunity is not always, a new job offer
Yeah.
or some big external breakthrough.
Right.
A lot of times it's a much more internal transformation,
Yeah,
right?
really. Yeah, and I think what's really insightful about this is that, he's focusing on inner growth. Like navigating uncertainty, it can really help us to develop new perspectives and help us realize strengths within ourselves that we didn't even know that we had. And this inner evolution can have such a huge impact.
Yeah.
It can really influence how we approach our work, our relationships, even our aspirations. So, think back to some of those challenging times that you've been through. Can you identify a time where your outlook really shifted or you found a new strength that came out of that experience?
It's like, the challenges that we face they reveal this resilience that maybe we wouldn't have known was there otherwise, you know.
Mm.
And finally, Warren gives this invitation to reflect, where he's directly encouraging us to examine an area in our own lives where uncertainty exists.
Yeah, I love this part. Like, this is where, we really get to apply these ideas in a personal way. And he encourages us to identify a very specific area where there's uncertainty,
Yeah.
whether it's a relationship or dream that we've been putting off or maybe even, a recent loss that we're dealing with. And then he asks this really powerful question. What is one small step that you can take to lean into that space rather than trying to avoid it?
Yeah.
And he talks about the significance of just being willing to admit, I don't know what's coming next, but I'm willing to learn and to explore. And that willingness to engage with the unknown, even if it's in a really small way, it's incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. So, as we bring this deep dive to a close, reflecting on Coach Warren's insights, it really reminds us that life is unpredictable. Change is a constant, and uncertainty, it's just part of being human.
Yeah.
But within those really challenging moments,
Mhm.
there's potential. There's a chance for renewed purpose, for building deeper connections with others, and for gaining these valuable insights about ourselves and the world around us, as long as we stay open to growth.
Yeah.
And that conscious choice, to stay open and to learn and to take those small steps forward, even when we don't know what's ahead, that's so vital. Think about how, just embracing those moments of uncertainty, even if it's in a small way, can help you become that calm and visionary leader that you want to be.
That's a really, really great perspective to carry with us. And remember, all you creators and entrepreneurs out there who are committed to rewiring your mindset and intentionally shifting your identity, Mindset Rebuild is here for you. It's an ongoing resource. And you can continue this journey with us and find more content by subscribing at mindsetrebuild.substack.com.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you in the next one.
Easy, guys.